Recommendation algorithms. They're kind of the invisible architects of our digital world, right? They shape everything from the news you see to the ideas you bump into. But how do they actually work? And what's their, hidden influence on all of us? Let's pull back the curtain and take a look. Oh, we've all been there. You like one photo of a horse, just one, and bam! Suddenly your entire feed thinks you're a professional equestrian. It's not magic, of course. It's actually the simplest part of a really complex system that's designed to figure you out.
So to really get the impact of all this, we've got to pop the hood and see what kind of machinery is powering our own personalized realities. Okay, so it all starts with something called content-based filtering. This one's pretty straightforward. You like a horse, the algorithm sees the tags, horse, nature, animals, and it just shows you, well, more horses. It's pretty transparent, but believe me, that is not the whole story.
This is where things get way more complicated, and honestly, a lot less obvious. The next method is collaborative filtering. Now, this system is super powerful, and it doesn't actually care about horses at all. What it does is it notices that other people who liked that exact same horse photo also liked some specific political video. So what does it do? It recommends that video to you, connecting two things that have absolutely nothing to do with each other, all based on the behavior of total strangers.
So why? Why build these incredibly complex systems? Well, the answer, as it so often is, boils down to the business model that basically runs the entire internet.
Take a look at this number. $134 billion. That's what Meta, just one company, made in revenue in 2023. This isn't just some big number on a slide. It's the price tag for an entire industry that's built on selling one thing: your attention.
And where is all that money coming from? You guessed it. Advertising, almost every single penny. See, the platforms give us a free service, but in return, they get to sell our attention and our data to advertisers with frankly terrifying precision. And this really gets to the heart of it. It reveals the algorithm's true goal. It's not trying to show you the truth. It's not trying to make you happier or smarter. Its only job is to maximize your engagement. And as we've learned from internal research at these companies, nothing, and I mean nothing, keeps our eyes glued to the screen quite like anger and outrage. The system literally learns to prioritize conflict because conflict is profitable. So now let's dig into how this business model directly messes with our own minds and, really, our perception of the world. We hear the terms filter bubble and echo chamber thrown around all the time, often like they're the same thing, but the difference is so important. A filter bubble is created for you by an algorithm, and you might not even know you're in one. An echo chamber, on the other hand, is a social space you choose to be in, with people who already agree with you. One is technological, the other is social.
And here's a really key insight from all the research. The biggest danger might not be that we're completely cut off from other points of view. It's that when we do see the other side, the algorithm makes sure to show us the most extreme, the most outrageous, the most hostile version of it. 'Cause, you guessed it, that's what gets the most clicks and comments.
Now, this whole system works so incredibly well because it taps into a fundamental bug in our own mental software: confirmation bias. We are all, every one of us, naturally wired to look for and believe information that confirms what we already think is true.
And what algorithms have done is basically put this bias on an industrial scale. It works like this. You click on something that fits your worldview, the algorithm sees that, takes a note, and shows you more just like it. Soon, your whole feed is full of it, creating this illusion that basically everyone agrees with you. This makes your belief even stronger, which makes you click on even more of the same stuff. It's this powerful, self-reinforcing loop.
Now, what happens when you take that psychological loop and you scale it up across billions of people? Well, these individual effects start to create huge fractures in society. It's really important here to separate two types of polarization. There's ideological, which is just disagreeing on policy, like taxes or healthcare. But then there's affective polarization. That's when we start to genuinely dislike and distrust the people on the other side. And the research suggests that while algorithms might not be the root cause of all this, man, are they effective at pouring gasoline on the fire of affective polarization. This all leads to one of the most pressing questions of our time. Are these systems actually creating radicals? Are they pushing people to the fringes? Or are they just a mirror, showing us the demand for extreme content that was already there? So one side of the argument shows some pretty compelling evidence for what they call a rabbit hole effect. You've got studies that show how a person can start with pretty mainstream content and, just through a series of recommendations, get led down a path toward more and more extreme and conspiratorial ideas. But then there's a counter-argument. Other, really large-scale studies say not so fast. They find very little evidence of a systematic push from the algorithm. They suggest it's more about the pull of the user. In this view, people are actively looking for this kind of content themselves.
So maybe the answer isn't one or the other. The reality is probably a dynamic feedback loop. A person brings their own curiosity, maybe a grievance. The algorithm picks up on that and amplifies it with recommendations. And then that person's engagement trains the algorithm to push even further next time. It's a human-machine dance.
Okay, so understanding the problem is one thing. But how in the world do we fix it? Well, the path forward is going to need a multi-layered response from pretty much everyone.
Yeah, there's no single silver bullet for this. Individuals, like you and me, we have a responsibility to be more digitally literate. The platforms themselves have to be pushed to design for things other than just pure engagement. And of course, government has a role to play in creating a framework for accountability.
A huge piece of that is regulation, something like an Algorithmic Accountability Act. The main goal of something like that is to shift the burden of proof. So instead of us having to prove that a system is causing harm after the damage is done, it would require the companies to proactively assess and prove that their systems aren't going to cause massive societal harm in the first place.
Look, at the end of the day, these powerful systems, they're not going anywhere. They are fundamental to how we live and communicate now. So the challenge isn't to get rid of them. The challenge is to demand that they be re-engineered, not just for profit, but for the public good. The goal is to turn this algorithmic prism from something that splinters us into a million pieces to something that can maybe help us understand our world and each other a little more clearly.